What you're about to see changes everything because the leaked footage from the set has finally exposed the moment no one was ever supposed to witness, the unscripted kiss, the backstage tension, and the truth about who really crossed the line. And now the entire case may collapse as hidden clips contradict claims in the most dramatic way. Yet stay right where you are, because once you see this, you will never look at this story the same again from the very first frame of the leaked footage. You can feel the tension in the room shift, like something hidden is finally crawling its way into the light. The cameras are rolling, the set is quiet, and Blake is fully immersed in character, but then out of nowhere a moment unfolds that was never written, never rehearsed, and absolutely never expected. Justin leans into his mark, but Blake takes a step forward and suddenly the energy changes. The closeness, the timing, the angle, all of it happens too naturally for an accident, and that is exactly why this single moment has now become one of the most dissected clips in the entire case, because according to her claims, Justin was the one who crossed lines that should have never been crossed yet. Here in this raw, untouched behind the scenes clip, you clearly see Blake stepping out of the script, stepping out of the planned choreography, and creating an unscripted moment that leaves Justin visibly surprised. This is where the story takes its first real twist, because what you are about to see isn't just a kiss, it isn't just a simple on-set decision, it's the first piece of undeniable visual evidence that contradicts the foundation of the allegations and flips the entire narrative in real time. The room freezes, the crew looks confused, and Justin, being a trained actor, simply continues, because that is what actors do. They adapt, they follow the motion, they protect the scene, and they keep the energy alive even when something unexpected happens. And this becomes the core of the argument his team presented to the court, the idea that improvisation often happens in acting, the idea that actors build moments in the moment, and that sometimes emotion or instinct can merge into a scene without warning. But if this moment was created by Blake and not Justin, then the narrative she built starts to fracture in ways she may not have expected. This clip is not aggressive, it is not inappropriate, it is not predatory, it simply shows an actress making a choice and a co-star reacting with professionalism. And when you compare this footage to the statements made in the lawsuit, a disturbing pattern begins forming, because every moment she claimed was uncomfortable, unfair, or unprofessional appears to have another set aside that was recorded, captured, and preserved on camera. And this is only the beginning, because once the kiss surfaced, it opened the door to dozens of other clips, moments, and reactions that began painting a picture far more complicated than anyone realized. The crew descriptions, the testimonies, the behind-the-scenes reactions all begin to raise one crucial question. If Blake was the one initiating moments of improvisation, intimacy, and physical closeness, then how can these same gestures be used against Justin as accusations? This is where the story deepens into something far more intense, because the kiss wasn't the only moment caught on camera, and the rest of the footage is even more revealing. Once the clip of the improvised kiss began circulating behind the scenes, the legal team went deeper, pulling footage from every angle of the production, and what they uncovered next sent shockwaves through everyone reviewing the case, because the moment that Blake claimed made her uncomfortable, the moment she described as crossing a boundary in the bar scene, does not play out on camera the way it was described. Instead, the raw behind-the-scenes audio reveals something entirely different. Justin is not commenting on her appearance in a personal way, he is not addressing her in a suggestive tone. He is simply directing the energy of the scene while managing wardrobe continuity, exactly what a director is supposed to do. The scene takes place in a cramped dive bar with bright lights, high heat, and dozens of extras, and Blake gets something stuck in her teeth, a completely normal accident during filming. Justin notices what the camera would clearly pick up, and he quietly asks for a toothpick to help her avoid an embarrassing shot, but the tension in her expression after that moment says everything. She looks irritated, not violated. She looks annoyed, not uncomfortable. She looks like someone who felt embarrassed because she was caught on camera in a way she didn't want to be captured, and that embarrassment may have been the root of the story that would later spiral far beyond the truth. On top of that, the bar footage shows something even more surprising. While she claims Justin called her sexy, the audio shows him talking about heat, wardrobe, and continuity. Meanwhile, Blake herself is filmed at another point, laughing, joking, and calling her own shoes sexy while surrounded by several crew members. The contrast is almost shocking, because when she says it, it is framed as playful, harmless, and lighthearted, but when he supposedly comments on wardrobe, suddenly it becomes inappropriate. Yet the footage does not reflect that at all. The crew seems relaxed, everyone is professional, and the entire exchange passes without any disruption or discomfort. And this is where the legal strategy becomes clear. Her attorneys attempted to frame normal production language as misconduct, hoping no one would ever see the unedited footage, but the moment these clips resurfaced, the narrative started collapsing because the context is undeniable. Blake participates in similar conversations. She initiates certain comments, she engages with the crew, and she expresses comfort using language she later claimed was offensive. And when Justin's attorneys showed the judge these side-by-side clips, a completely different portrait of the set began to emerge, one where the boundaries were far looser than described, one where Blake appeared comfortable, confident, expressive, even flirtatious with humor, and one where Justin's behavior remained consistent, professional, and in line with his role as director. Footage doesn't justify the accusations, it contradicts them, and that is why the judge is now examining everything, including who initiated which moments, who escalated certain interactions, and who may have reshaped events after the fact to fit a legal narrative. Because the bar scene is not just another moment in the film, it is a key puzzle piece that reveals something deeper and far more complicated, and it leads directly into the next twist, which is even more surprising: the claim of a so-called culture of hugging. Onset a claim that falls apart the moment the footage is played back in full. When the claim of a so-called culture of hugging was introduced into the case, it immediately raised eyebrows because it felt oddly distant from the seriousness of the accusations, yet her legal team pushed it as if it were a defining element of discomfort on set. And the moment Justin's deposition footage surfaced, everyone realized exactly why this point was being forced so aggressively. The lawyer questioning him treated every hug like a coded message, every casual goodbye like a secret warning, every friendly gesture like a hidden invitation, turning normal human kindness into something suspicious and calculated. But Justin remained calm, answering with patience and honesty. Even when the questions bordered on the absurd, he simply explained that he didn't keep a tally of hugs because no one in the world does, and he clarified that hugs on set were not limited to Blake or even to women. They were exchanged among cast members, crew members, and even younger actors who instinctively embraced him as they wrapped their scenes. And that's when the footage played on screen, revealing Justin hugging male cast members with the same warmth and simplicity as any other interaction, clearly proving there was no gender targeting, no intentional boundary pushing, no selective choosing of who to hug. It was simply a group of people working long days on an emotionally demanding film, forming a temporary family in the way many sets traditionally do. The irony deepens when the deposition mentions that Vivian, Blake's own makeup artist, apparently testified that the hugs made people uncomfortable, yet the behind-the-scenes clips show her being the one enthusiastically hugging Justin, running up to him with joy and warmth, which leaves viewers wondering how such testimony could exist when the footage tells an entirely different story. What emerges isn't a culture of discomfort, but a culture of selective memory, where harmless moments are retroactively framed as misconduct, and where interactions that were mutual, friendly, and common suddenly become highlighted as calculated actions once legal papers are filed. This is why the judge is taking the footage so seriously, because video does what words cannot do. It preserves the truth in motion, and in these clips the truth does not match the story that was submitted to the court. And the deeper the attorneys dig, the more contradictions begin surfacing. The footage of hugs, laughter, relaxed conversations, and collaborative exchanges paints a set filled with normal creative energy, not a hostile environment. And the fact that several interactions show Blake initiating physical closeness undercuts the claim that she felt singled out or pressured. If anything, it begins to look like the case may have been built on emotion, frustration, or conflict outside the footage rather than reality captured on film. And this brings the entire narrative to its most critical turning point, because once the clips of hugs and bar scenes and improvised kisses were laid out side by side, a picture emerged that no longer aligned with the allegations, a picture that raised a new question, one no one expected to ask. What was the real motive behind the accusations, and who actually influenced the narrative behind the scenes? And this question leads directly into the next part of the story, where intention, pressure, and personal dynamics outside the set begin to surface in ways no one anticipated. As the final pieces of footage are reviewed and every deposition answer is placed side by side with the behind-the-scenes clips, the entire situation evolves into something far larger than a simple disagreement between two actors, because what started as a claim of discomfort has transformed into a case study in how narratives can shift once cameras stop rolling and emotions begin influencing memory and interpretation. The leaked clips, the raw audio, the full context of each moment work together like puzzle pieces, revealing a much clearer picture than any written allegation ever could, and that picture challenges the foundation of the claims in a way that even seasoned legal experts didn't expect to see. The improvised kiss, the toothpick scene, the bar footage, the joking comments about wardrobe, the relaxed moments on the floor describing her boots as stylish and eye-catching, the hugs exchanged openly among multiple cast and crew members, all of these moments collectively present a reality that does not match the narrative outlined in the lawsuit, and what becomes even more striking is how consistently the footage shows professional behavior from Justin, even in situations that catch him by surprise, while also showing Blake participating fully in the same types of interactions she later characterized differently when the judge reviews a case built on emotional interpretation, but must weigh it against video evidence that captures tone, body language, voluntary engagement, and mutual interactions. It becomes clear why this filing has drawn so much attention in the entertainment law world, because it creates a scenario where the emotional truth and the documented truth no longer match, and the legal system must decide which one carries more weight. The situation grows more complex when you take into account the pressures that surround Hollywood productions, the expectations, the relationships outside the set, and the possibility that personal frustrations or misunderstandings could have influenced how certain moments were remembered long after filming wrapped. The claim of a so-called culture of hugging, for example, collapses almost instantly once the footage shows multiple people embracing each other naturally and warmly, contradicting the idea of discomfort and proving that these gestures were not gender-specific or inappropriate, but rather a normal part of a creative environment where long hours and intense emotions often bring people closer together. The court is now faced with a critical question, one that extends far beyond this specific case and into the larger conversation about how video evidence reshapes legations in any professional environment, how spontaneous improvisation and acting should be judged when revisited months or years later, and how mutual interactions can be interpreted differently depending on emotions, circumstances, or external influences. And it is this question that could determine the outcome more than any single clip or testimony, because this case is no longer simply about who said what on set. It is about how stories are shaped, how memories evolve, and how the truth can be revealed not through dramatic claims but through unedited footage that captures moments exactly as they happened. The reality is that nobody can fully know what someone personally felt during those moments, but the footage does reveal how both individuals behaved physically, socially, and professionally during those same moments. And for a judge or jury, that contrast carries enormous weight. Blake appears confident, expressive, joking, playful, and composed in every clip, show not someone recoiling from discomfort or reacting with visible distress, while Justin appears focused, calm, respectful, and measured, taking direction, responsibilities seriously, and interacting with cast members consistently regardless of gender. When these two portrayals collide, the case enters a territory where emotional interpretation may not hold up against visual documentation, and that is why so many observers now believe the narrative is shifting dramatically as more footage becomes public. Whatever the final ruling ends up being, one thing is clear: this case has become a turning point in how behind-the-scenes material influences allegations in modern Hollywood, and the final decision will likely echo through future productions and legal disputes for years to come. Because once unedited truth is visible, it becomes nearly impossible to reshape the story any other way.